I'm Tyler.
I'm Shorty.
I'm Miles.
I'm Kara.
And we are the Inner Idiot.
The following podcast has strong language, violence, and other things you probably shouldn't let your children listen to. Please enjoy. Hey, Ty, if you wanted to make a podcast, how would you do it?
Spotify Podcasters app, of course. Or hell, even the website.
Do they have any way you can edit audio and help with organizing your episodes?
All that and more. You can reach out to listeners and have feedback with their Q&A feature, and it distributes it to all other major places you listen to podcasts.
I just looked, and they got a video podcast set up and editing tools here, too.
So all you got to do is sign up at SpotifyForPodcasters.com or get the app, and you're done.
Damn, it's just that easy.
Drop what you're doing, swallow what you're chewing, because we don't want you choking from all this joking. Welcome to Inner Idiot Podcast, where we want to help you through your day with some laughs, and we want to touch your insides. And when I say your insides, I mean your heart. You know,
We want to help your day in an inappropriate way.
there we go. I am your host, the big, the bald, the beautiful, the brash, the bumbling, and the oftentimes bastardly MC Tyler Havlin. And I talk slow and I walk slower because that's just how I roll, people.
2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo! Grab your feet and spread your cheeks because he's going to lick your ass.
Oh, so now it's me that gets to be the sexual deviant.
Dude, I'm so fucking tired.
Next up, he is the Lord that's never bored, the commander of the comic books. He's been petting kitty and grabbing titty since I don't know when. He ain't got a shirt on, and his nipples are so hard to make you go full retard. 2 claps and a Ric Flair for Lord Shorty Fresh in the flesh.
Woo! You dumbed it down that time.
I did. I didn't want to have to talk about you licking from the rooter to the tutor this time. But don't worry, I will next time. Next up, we have a special guest from Overdue For Extinction podcast. 2 claps and a Ric Flair for Anthony. Woo!
It's quite an intro. I appreciate it. I didn't get it. I didn't get all the introductory ass licking though.
Do you lick ass? I mean, is that something you partake in?
No. I did listen to. I don't know when this will air, but the last episode of yours that I listened to, where you guys got into a discussion of licking ass. It was very intuitive.
That's sad. Like, it's sad to say that that's way too many episodes that we don't know which one you're talking about either.
So, sir, since we're getting to know each other here, I need to ask you why you don't lick ass.
There's too many things that go on down there. I guess that could be true of anything, though.
One primary thing.
Yeah, I mean, and ideally, unless you got other things going on recreationally down there.
All right, so would you be opposed to taking a camping trip with me?
Well, I did hear that I don't want to take a camping trip. Shorty warned against that last time.
See, people listen.
But we're trying to become immortal here because we've learned
That no,
if you connect at the roots.
no.
This sounds like some human centipede shit. But like
Them motherfuckers died.
yeah, here you're just getting ass fucked.
Holy shit. This motherfucker just brought it on, dude. Like, that's not a horror movie. That's not a thriller movie. That right there is a fucking human documentary on why Tyler's fucking wrong. Like,
Look, I'm not saying we need to go fucking ATM style, all right?
what does that mean?
Ass to mouth, okay? I'm saying we just need to touch roots at the very least.
Just a little sword fighting.
Yeah, touch roots. Let them sit together for a minute. Let them get to know each other. It'd increase your lifespan. How long did those trees live before they became one?
Shut up.
Now they're like 80,000 years old.
That's not the same. By that definition, it would be like locking toes.
No, that's not your root.
Speaking of walking toes, I did try to get my wife to do peanut butter jelly feet with me one time, but she wouldn't do it.
What the fuck is peanut butter jelly feet?
You put one person puts peanut butter in between their toes, and the other person puts jelly, and then you interlock toes together.
This is a kink unlocked.
Tyler just had dinner and he's licking his lips right now.
Bro.
Apparently, 7 years together is too long to get into new shit. Apparently,
Look, I just need to find somebody to do peanut butter jelly feet with me.
This motherfucker's got a belly boner and an actual boner. He's like, dude, this is gonna be sexy and fucking fulfilling
And nutritional.
and nutritional.
there you go. It's a snack and foreplay all in one.
That's right. And I'm all about efficiency. All right. Speaking of efficient, Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself and your show.
All right. Well, myself, I am 33. As I put in a lot of my bios anymore, now that I've tried to spread word of the podcast, I put in my bio that I am a father of 3 and survivor of none. I have 3 younger kids, so they add entertainment and challenge to my life, but it's been fun. The show itself is a comedy podcast. My sister-in-law and I do it together. We document a lot of examples of why the human race is overdue for extinction. A lot of dumb like Florida man stories. A lot of people selling like used edible underwear on the internet, shit like that.
Used edible underwear.
So is that like half eaten? That's like leftovers, right?
Well, apparently what had happened was the girl bought edible underwear for her and her boyfriend, but then found out her boyfriend didn't like the material that was made out of. So after she had put it on, she decided to get her money back and try to sell it online. And she did warn, though, that because people are obviously worried about the germs of her setup down there, that she did spray Febreze on it to clean it.
Hold on. So you can't spray Febreze on your food, bro.
Look, I don't make the rules. I didn't encourage her to say these things. These are just what I found.
Wow.
I would argue, though, that you could probably make a killing. You know, we have all these industries like OnlyFans and selling feet pics, and we got the one TikTok girl used to sell her farts in a jar. Now she sells her boob sweat. We talked about her in a recent episode. I think there's the market for used edible panties because you're really adding extra flavor to it.
There is a website that, as a man, you can go in and buy used panties of any sorts of kind and search whether or not if it's been urinated in, shat in, whatever. And as a woman, you can supply those things, and it's 100% anonymous.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
How do you know about said website, sir?
Because one of my friends was bitching about not having a lot of money and said they wanted a side hustle that wasn't OnlyFans. And I was like, don't worry, I got you. And I found that website and feetfinder.com.
All right. I know which friend this is, too. That makes it all the more better.
Well, actually, I've advertised these 2 websites to just about every woman that bitches about not having enough money. And I was like, listen, my only stipulation is as soon as you make a good amount of money, like $500, you take Shorty out to lunch. That's all I ask. I don't ask for much. Just fucking free meal. That's just one. That's all I want. And the best part is I've gotten 3 free meals out of this.
Look, we deserve a sponsorship out of this.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I don't know the name of the fucking panty selling website anymore, though. It's been a while since I've had to advertise for it.
All right, well, let's hop into our top 5 today before this gets really fucked up. Top 5 weird historical facts / moments / whatever the hell you can do. Anthony, if you've listened, you know the rules. You're going to kick us off today.
All right, sounds good. I realized as I was preparing them, and then I listened to the last episode, I was like, he's got a little bit wordy, so I'll try to keep him a little on the briefer side. So I guess we'll talk about the 5th one here, the kind of the least of the great ones I found. So there was a Korean king, I believe it was 15th century. On one occasion, he fell off of his horse while he was hunting. It was their typical history that they would record all events that happened regarding the king because it was to be revered for years to come. But when he fell off, the recorder had recorded it, and he had destroyed the recording. But because there were other recorders present at the time, they had to record him falling as well. And then as he went around and systematically was destroying all of the recordings of the event, they kept recording that he kept destroying it. The king was King Taejong, and he isn't really known for anything other than falling off of his horse and trying to destroy the evidence.
And insurance fraud.
Yeah, essentially.
And what year did you say this was?
I'm not sure of the year. It's just 15th century. So we got a whole 100-year span to work with here.
Man, that is ancient insurance fraud right there.
I don't know if it was just like him falling off the horse and everybody else subsequently falling off the horse, or him I think it was really him falling off the horse and him saying, "Don't record that."
Yeah,
and
that's what it was.
Pulling motherfuckers down, stop it. Eventually he got tired.
I wonder if this is where the saying, if you fall off the horse, you got to get back on again.
Maybe. It was recorded that they kept trying to hide it in more and more obscure places so he couldn't find the record to destroy it.
See, that's what I'm saying. The fucking king was embarrassed. That's exactly what it was.
Maybe you shouldn't be riding horses.
Could you imagine, you fell off your, it got recorded, you fell off your horse, and then, you see the guy who fell off the king fucking sneaking around trying, in the recorder's room trying to find the document. So you got to record that now? Now you're a fucking creep. And it just keeps getting worse. I love this plan. That sounds like a good idea.
And now we got cameras that record everything. So
fuck yeah, dude.
You don't keep it now either.
All right, what's next on the list? We've got falling kings.
All right. Well, Napoleon. Everyone is aware of Napoleon Bonaparte and what a great military leader he was for France. Mm-hmm. He did have an embarrassing defeat, and it wasn't the one that brought him down. So one story about him suggests that he once demanded his chief of staff arrange a rabbit hunting event. The story fluctuates about how many rabbits he wanted. It was supposedly anywhere between several hundred and 3,000.
God damn,
rabbits.
Yeah, I don't know how many. Maybe he was a bad shot. I don't know. But anyway, not wanting to spend an enormous amount of time hunting and capturing these rabbits, his chief of staff instead went around and purchasing from other vendors all of these tame rabbits, thinking he was going to save a bunch of time and get the job done. So after they had brought these rabbits to wherever they were going to do this hunt, they released them. And unfortunate for Napoleon, tame rabbits are used to people being around them and interacting with them. So instead of running for their lives because they would have been scared, they're tame rabbits looking for their meal. And they swarmed him and his men that were there for the hunt, leaving him to have to flee into a carriage to get away from the tame rabbits.
That's awesome.
Bro ran from some bunny rabbits. They were close to the same height anyways.
If they were anything like the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it's understandable.
Yeah, no doubt. Fuck that.
Honestly, they probably should have recorded that in the history as the reason he fled. It would have been much more manly of him.
The rabbit was ravenous. It's got long. I fucking love that movie.
Such a good movie. I tried watching it. My oldest son is 9 now, and we tried watching it when he was 8. And I forgot the scene. I can't remember which of the nights it was, but the nuns were bathing him, and I was like, "Oh, we gotta hold on. Pause it."
Oh God. No, it's not Lancelot. Galahad.
Galahad, yes.
Yeah, Galahad the Chaste.
Yes, it was a fine movie up until that point, and I was like, "We're not ready for this discussion. We got a few more years yet."
They're just issuing spankings.
Nothing that I have to explain to an 8-year-old.
Why are they excited about the spankings, Dad? Don't worry about it.
Eat these underwear and shut up. You'll like it.
God, that would be a nightmare. He has found a toy before in my wife's drawer. But if he ever found an 8 edible underwear, it would probably be, he'd be up for adoption.
All right. So what you got next on that list? I like the Napoleon one. That one's pretty nifty.
All right. Well, President Carter also had an embarrassing moment. In 1977, he made a visit to Poland, which at the time was a communist country. Mm-hmm. And he was there. I don't remember what the business was he was there for, but his translator was a shit translator. And I don't know if it was because he didn't know proper English, if it was like a Polish translator, or if the translator was English and didn't know good Polish. But the translation he had come there to find out what the desires of the Polish people were regarding the relationship with the U.S. However, because of the mistranslation, the interpreter said that President Carter was there to learn of all of the Polish people's sexual desires. And then
sounds like my kind of translator right here.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the worst of it. The interpreter also turned "I left the United States this morning" into "I left the United States never to return." Even the innocent statement that Carter was happy to be in Poland became the claim that he was happy to grasp at Poland's private parts. So, all in all, while President Carter was there, the interpreter told them that the president from America had come to sexually gratify all of the Polish people and was not leaving until he had done so.
I mean, I guess Polacks get that reputation, honestly, then.
I didn't know they had a reputation for being horny.
What?
I mean, I feel like every race, or every flavor of human can relate.
I want to taste all the flavors at some point.
Skittles, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, taste the rainbow.
All right, what you got next, boss?
All right.
Fucking Jimmy Carter, sexual deviant.
I love it.
Yeah. What was great was he had replaced that interpreter before he had left, and the interpreter that he had worked with after that didn't give him an interpretation after he was done speaking, and so he spoke again, and the interpreter refused the second time to do anything. He later found out the interpreter had learned about the previous interpreter's mistakes and realized he didn't understand English well enough to do it accurately, so he just chose to remain silent instead of doing the work.
That's awesome.
Okay, so speaking of politics, another one I have here is in 1967, there was a small town in Ecuador called Picawasa. They were running a mayoral candidacy, trying to get a new mayor elected. This area is actually a really impoverished area that lacked a lot of basic necessities like its residents needed to thrive, including clean water and proper sewage system. So there were two people on the ticket that were running for mayor of the town. Neither of them were very favorable, it seemed. And someone had joined the game late by the name of Polvapis. Nobody had known who this person was, but he had started distributing flyers and pamphlets throughout the community that bore the slogan, "Vote for any candidate, but if you want well-being and hygiene, vote for Polvapis." It seemed like the voters were swayed by these pamphlets because they decided to choose neither of the other two candidates, and instead they had written in Polvapis even though he wasn't on the ballot. When the election day had arrived and gone, it was clear that Polvapis was the elected official, but he was unable to take the seat. So when they had investigated why no one stepped forward to claim the title, they had found out that Polvapis was actually a foot powder company that started advertising in their small town around the time of election when their pamphlets resembled a campaign ad. So the voters were convinced by foot powder to ignore the two actual human beings running for election and elect the foot powder instead.
Hygiene's much more important than having a well-ran town.
Right.
Honestly.
And you can't walk around with stinky feet.
Yeah, and you look at the politics, or the politicians we have now, whether you're on the left or right side, there's problems with both. So honestly, foot powder might do a better job.
And this really sounds like a place where I want to debut my first performance of peanut butter jelly feet. Because, I mean, they're obviously, they care about clean feet here.
Honestly, yeah. But also, maybe OnlyFans would be a good place for it, too.
But only if it's in this city. Because look,
Sure.
I'm telling you, when I make these glorious sexual sandwiches, that I want a partner with clean feet, man.
Well, yeah, obviously, you don't want someone bringing extra grunge to the table.
Yeah, you
can
don't
ask for
eat
that.
off a dirty plate.
Shut up. I don't know. I did hear about the pizza sitting out overnight and eating it the next day. He might be fine with it.
Yeah, there's a certain level of grime that is allowed, but I've yet to venture into that foot fetish thing. So when I do it, I want to make sure it's extra clean, man. Yeah,
I'll be listening to see if you manage to pull it off.
I'm gonna pull it off. Somebody is gonna peanut butter jelly my feet, and we're gonna do this.
I think it's got to be you, Shorty.
No.
You seem to be in the most often proximity to him. I think it has to be.
And you ain't even got shoes on right now. I don't think I've ever seen your feet, so you came prepared.
That's not true. You've seen my feet before.
Oh, that's right. We have slept in the same room before.
Lack of shoes is consent with peanut butter jelly toes.
No. No, I don't like where that's at. I'm not here for that.
All right. Was that your last one?
I got one more for you.
Yeah, it was 4.
All right, so this one, we're coming back to America, 1904, the St. Louis Olympics. So the Olympics were being revived and brought to America for the first time after leaving Greece. In 1904, they were supposed to have it in Chicago, but the World's Fair was going on, so they moved it to St. Louis last minute. Unfortunately, because of this, they were extremely unprepared, so they had some issues that we'll cover real quickly. A lot of the competitors, first off, weren't athletes. They weren't trained. They weren't professionals in any manner. They were basically a volunteer. If you wanted to join the Olympics, you came up and you got to be part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's probably best that we don't do that anymore. Although I think it would make the Olympics a lot more compelling to watch.
I think it would be fucking fun as shit.
So the event that raised the most
javelin.
Where?
I don't care where I throw a javelin. I'll just throw that motherfucker.
I definitely shouldn't be in charge of amateur athletics because when I was I'm probably 18 years old, I asked my dad for a bow and arrow for Christmas. I have no hunting experience. I've never shot a bow before in my life, but I decided that I wanted to learn archery. So we lived in a trailer park at the time, and I took it out, and I had this big open field, and we got one of those round targets that was sitting out, and it wasn't super far away or anything, but I still put an arrow in someone else's trailer. So
awesome.
That sounds like you hit the mark, though. To me,
I hit something. It depends on how fluid you are and where the target is, I guess.
That's right. Tabby on the Facebook Live says it'd be like the Hunger Games all over again.
Yeah, and honestly, I think to go hand in hand with my podcast, we should have some kind of Hunger Games to weed out the problematic people.
Look, as long as I get to do peanut butter jelly feet with somebody as one of the events in the Hunger Games, I'm cool with it.
Is that related to the Olympics in any way?
I mean, we could make it an Olympic event. I'm getting kind of chubby, so just bending over to get to my feet sometimes it looks like it's a struggle. So I mean, I break a sweat.
I just earlier demonstrated another reason I shouldn't participate in the athletic adventures. I was trying to step over some clutter in our basement to get my recording equipment for this, and I stretched my leg out over some clutter, and my hip started spasming on me, and I fell over sideways. So I decided that the remainder of equipment I did plan on bringing up didn't need to be brought up after all.
All right. That was a great top 5, man. Shorty, it is your turn.
All right, so mine aren't nearly looked up in depth because, frankly, I forgot about the top 5 and Tyler warned me about it. So I had like 7 minutes because you were looking for a microphone. Number 5 is the creation of fire.
Fire!
Like, this is just my favorite historical moments. So when that was created, it was pretty dope. I like my food cooked.
Yes.
I appreciate the heat. So, thank you, caveman.
Fire's nice.
I appreciate you.
Word up to the Neanderthals.
Yeah. We unga your bunga, man. Number 4, 1965, the conception of the camera that later turned into the invented camera in 1816.
What's the years again?
The concept of the camera and the theory behind it came out in 1685.
It took 200 years almost to make a goddamn camera?
I took a screenshot of this for people's names.
That's a long time to get a job done, man.
They took a long time to process those pictures too, right? They had to sit there for like an hour or something while it processed.
Dude, my fucking 5-year-old can draw me quicker than that.
Johann Zahn, a German author, proposed the design for what is now known as the handheld reflex camera in 1685. However, no inventor physically realize the camera until 1816 when Joseph Nesfor Nepik constructed a prototype.
Look, that man should be fired from his job. He took 150 years to do the damn thing.
The photogenic camera, while historians generally accept that the first photogenic camera was developed in 1816, same year, by a Frenchman, Joseph Nesfor Nepik, fucking French. The camera's origin relied on centuries of contributions. Let's see. Nepik created photogenic images on silver chloride-lined paper, and the oldest extent. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Photograph is one he made around 1826. The original shot is still on in the exhibit in the University of Texas at Austin. But yeah, it took 200 fucking years.
I'm glad people are smarter than me, because you listed off the things that they used to first develop it, and I just like, what is that? I wouldn't have known any of that or what to combine or anything for this idea.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't even tie my shoes anymore, bro, let alone do engineering shit.
Mine are tied so frequently because they will not stay together that it looks like I'm a special ed student on a field trip, because I just can't keep them tied. I don't know what's wrong with them.
You just heard me read, dog. I feel like a special ed student.
It's okay. We'll all drool together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sweet moment.
It's special.
Continue on, Lord.
October 1958, physicist William Hedenbertham, I guess is how you say his last name, created what is thought to be the first video game. It was a very simple version of tennis, and in the 1970s became Pong.
Pong was a fun game, man. Turn your little knob.
But now we got all these other great games. We don't need Pong. When's the last time you played Pong?
You're just calling me out on it now. Huh? It was probably the 90s.
Yeah. But then we had Super Nintendo and original NES.
Super Nintendo was by far had the best games.
I played Pong probably about 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, that's because you're a special case, Shorty.
I like antique games.
That's why
Likes antique games, not so much shirts.
Fuck those things. Goddamn devil clothes.
All right, what you got next? Let me just say, again, like our previous top 5, you guys are way more in depth than me.
You poor fella.
You know, it's how I roll.
And 1934, the rise of a specific party that popularized the use of gas and the use of ovens, showers, and the birth of 1,000 atrocities, the Holocaust. No, in all seriousness, because of them, weird transition. If it was not for the Holocaust and the Nazi Party, would you calm down? Fuck out of here, Ty. Had it not been for them, we would not have NASA. Most of our engineers that really thrived in the 1950s, 60s, and even 70s, scientists and otherwise, came from Nazi Germany. Whether they fled from, trying to get out of the Nazi regime in the 40s and 50s and whatnot, or just trying to avoid death sentences. They came here and worked in NASA, pharmaceuticals, and all kinds of shit. Like, we have 1,000 reasons to thank the Holocaust and 1 reason to say, our bad.
I don't know what I would have done if you would have just deadpanned at the camera and been like, the Holocaust. All right, my next one is like, holy shit, maybe I shouldn't be here.
Well, it was right before we started recording, before he hopped on the call with us. Tyler's like, he's like, you got him yet? I was like, I'm really struggling because, like, I can't focus on one event. And he was like, let me guess. I'm like, oh yeah, the gas bill's going up.
Oh Lord! All right, what you got next, or is that the end of this list?
No. Number one, and most importantly, is May of 1938, and then July or April of 1939.
Okay.
The birth of Batman and Superman, two of the greatest DC comics. That's right. But yeah, the birth of DC Comics as we know it came out. Then the birth of how we view superheroes was May of 1938 with Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster's creation of Superman. And in all seriousness, he was used as an icon to fight against the Nazis. Because Joel Shuster Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster both being young Jewish men in New York City, watching on, not live TV, but on television, hearing about the Nazi Party and the discrimination and hatred and killing of thousands of Jews. They, seeing this, realized that the world needed a hero. And because they obviously they didn't think they could be that hero, they created one and gave hope to hundreds of thousands of children, and now a hero that has strived over 80 years of history.
Yeah, way to pull it back in there. I'm proud of you.
Back to Nazi Germany.
Well, I mean, in the 1940s, going back to reading, like if you go back and read a lot of the comics, you can find them online. Superman did fight a ton of Nazis. Even Batman fought a ton of Nazis. He was breaking into chemical labs and stuff like that and thwarting, Nazi scientists and stuff like that.
All right. Well, the first segment has run a little long here, so I will give my top 5 in segment number 2.
Oh, wow.
And then we will roll into embarrassing stories from Anthony. So on that mark, we got to pay some bills, take a little pause for the calls, and we will be right back. Do you love podcasts? Of course you do. That's why you're here. But you know what's even better than listening to a podcast? Making your own. That's right, and Anchor makes it simple. I'm your favorite host, MC Tyler Havlin, and I'm telling you, go download the Anchor app today, Anchor FM. They have all the tools you need to get started today. And best part is, it's totally free. They push it out to all the major platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. So get started today, people. Go download the app, Anchor FM. I'll wait. Do it now. And we're back. To continue this top 5, I have to say I had to redo my list today at about 3 o'clock because I had a list prepared and then I got a call from my ex-wife. Okay. And apparently there's this. So she started off by, let me ask you a weird question. And she had me on speakerphone and I knew she was at work. So I was like, yeah, this is my time. I was like, what, you need to know how many times a week I masturbate? And she said, no. How often do you think about ancient Rome? And I said, while I masturbate? Mm-hmm. And then, apparently it's a TikTok thing right now. Women are asking men how often they think about ancient Rome. And my answer was 4 to 5 times a week. Ancient Rome was an awesome time period. Like, I couldn't live back in, no cell phones, no internet. I'd be fucked. But, no fast food? What the fuck? But it got me thinking, like, you know what? I love Rome. Like, this is what my top 5 is going to be on. Historical Rome. But before I jump into my top 5, Anthony, how often do you think about ancient Rome?
Jesus, probably not nearly to the extent you do.
Why? What's wrong with you?
Well, I mean, togas were a pretty cool thing, I guess.
Togas were dope. And they're very flowy. You ever worn a toga? It's nice, man.
I haven't, but it sounds airy.
You should try it. But when you try it, dude, go commando.
Well, yeah, how else you gotta feel all of it,
right? You gotta let the boys hang out. Shorty, how often do you think about ancient Rome?
Does the comic book or movie 300 count?
Sure. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'd say at least once a week.
But apparently, like, these answers are surprising women, and people say it's because men like to assert dominance. I don't know what the reason is. I thought ancient Rome was cool, so that's what my top 5 is. Top 5 facts. Weird facts about ancient Rome. Here we go. Coming in at number 5. All right. They had communal baths. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're just going to have a party, get together in a bathtub. Look, we've all heard my top 5 about my island. I need a nursing home, and sponge baths were a part of that. So now we can get to the sponge baths without me even having to be that fucking elderly. Right? Shorty, if we had communal baths, are you going to help a brother out?
You know why they had a communal bath, right?
Why?
Because they couldn't, they couldn't build the infrastructure for, like, full, like, plumbing and shit like that. And it wasn't normal to bathe every single day.
You know what? You shut your mouth, because I think they just wanted to bathe together. They knew how to have a good time, man.
I'm not going to disagree with that because I don't know. I don't care. However, they did not have internal plumbing. And they also, it wasn't a regular instance to bathe every single day. So they had one day in which it was to bathe. So everybody went down to whatever fucking area it was and just got naked and bathed together.
I'm here for it. That's it. That's
and women and men typically did it in on separate days.
No, dude. This is the 2020s. We're all about equality these days. All right, communal baths, co-ed. That's how we're rolling.
You say that, but we're also 2023, where, like, we can't have that because men are predators.
All right, good point. Touche. All right.
Well, I mean, haven't they always though, right?
Yeah, it's just more.
That's why they did it on separate days.
All right, next up, number 4. Okay, wow, my writing here is really bad. But roads that were built in ancient Rome are still being used today.
Yes.
And to me, that's fucking mind-blowing, dude. I can't have a pair of underwear last more than 13 months, but these motherfuckers got roads that are still fucking being used today. How is that? How does that work?
The level of construction that they put into it. Like,
must be.
They would dig down 5 to 10 feet. And this is for city roads, obviously. They would dig down 5 to 10 feet, lay sand, gravel, heavy rock, gravel, sand, and then whatever the fuck kind of shit, like, version of
the Romans did invent concrete.
The Roman concrete has a particular version of silica that is indigenous to that area that actually heals itself. And that's why Roman concrete and so many of their structures are still standing today.
Well, I'm gonna need that silica in my underwear.
I feel like Shorty thinks about Rome a lot more than he wants to admit to. This is a very educated
I feel
conversation.
like I think about more. I think about Rome more than I thought I did.
Yeah. Anthony, how your underwear looking out these days?
It's funny you should ask because I have a couple of pairs. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I'm like sharding Taco Bell and it's just shredding them on the underneath side. But my wife has seen a couple of the pairs I have, and she says, you need to throw those away. We're not so poor we can't buy underwear.
So they're looking like spaghetti strainers.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than, I guess, the swamp ass stains, but yeah, looking like spaghetti strainers.
That's all my underwear are. My underwear don't get ripped. They just swamp ass.
All right,
you and Shrek arguing over whose swamp it is?
I'm telling you, bro.
Number 3, they used to wash their clothes in urine because urine contains ammonia. Right?
I actually don't know anything about this.
Well, they did. Unless they ate asparagus. I imagine on asparagus days, they didn't use that urine.
I mean, it makes sense considering, like, if they find... I don't know how they found out that urine is sterile or has ammonia in it, but it makes sense to do so. Now, getting rid of the... Asparagus isn't indigenous to that area, of the world.
Okay.
So, they wouldn't have had to worry about it. Now, however, they would have beets and or beets specifically, and a few other types of food that would allow their urine to change drastic colors. So, a more vibrant yellow would be there. And plus, they're all drinking wine. Wine was very prolific in Rome and, that area of the world. So, yeah.
You're really getting your smart on this episode, Shorty. I'm proud of you. All right, number 2 is cats had legal rights in Rome. I'm pretty sure they still do.
Fuck that.
It's because they were sacred to the goddess Diana and because they helped keep the rodent population down. But I thought it was neat that they had legal rights. And number 1, and we talked about this earlier today, okay? Julius Caesar hated going bald so much that it was illegal for anyone to stand above him and look down on him. So they couldn't see his bald spot. A man of wisdom right there.
A man of shallowness.
Hey, man, look, you don't know. You got the luscious locks, okay?
I bet he bathed by himself.
I bet he, maybe. I don't know.
Fuck you. He did. Like, he was like, no one shall see this bald spot. No one shall see me get wet.
Anthony,
don't look at my willy. It's for small. They actually, like, the reason why, like, statues and shit of, like, David and all these other motherfuckers have, like, tiny dicks.
Why?
Because back then, if you had a big old penis,
you were considered
a fucking moron.
Yeah. All your brains went downstairs.
Yeah. So,
that's
like,
why
when
I'm dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, you dumb. Like, nowadays, dude, like, it's funny. I think about that every time somebody, like, is joking about having a big old penis and stuff. I'm like, I always want to say, yeah, that's because you're fucking retarded.
Have you ever noticed, though, that somebody with a big dick that always brags about their big dick, that's the only thing they brag about? That is their only claim to fame.
Their crowning achievement.
That's right. And they didn't even get to achieve that on their own. Just saying.
I feel like they did do that on their own. Like, I grew up myself. Like, they did it. You know what I mean?
On the table for her pleasure.
All right, Anthony, I need to ask, what does your head of hair look like under that hat?
I actually still have a pretty good amount of hair. It's not bad.
Oh, man. I thought for a second, I was like, maybe we get another bald guy on the show. And no, it was killed. All right, well, that was my top 5. Anthony, do you have an embarrassing story for us?
I do. I'm going to bring it back around to Shorty again, too.
Oh,
and,
boy.
And his top 5. My story involves Batman and how I briefly became him for a little while.
I'm intrigued. You have my interest peaked.
Well, last I checked, your name was Anthony, not Bruce, but go ahead. I'll let you go.
Well, you get past the mantle on eventually. And somewhere down the road, you're going to get an Anthony instead of a Bruce. I'm not a huge drinker. I like beer every once in a while. I'm more of a social drinker whenever there's a little get together, friends over, or whatever. Mm-hmm. The last time that I wanted to drink actively was about a decade ago, and I was 23 at the time. And I had some friends over. We were drinking. We were playing Munchkin. Okay. I knew you would know what Munchkin was because I also am a D&D player, and since I am a tactician at heart, I snooped on your page to get a little information about you and saw that you mentioned D&D in your bio. You mentioned everyone loves D&D even if they don't know it.
Yep.
So we were drinking Kraken, and I'm not normally a dark liquor kind of fella, but that night it was somebody had brought it over, and
Kraken will fuck you up.
It sure the fuck did. We were drinking. I was getting a nice little buzz on, and then everyone decided that they were about done for the night, so they stopped drinking and left their remaining Kraken in their cups. And being slightly buzzed at that point, I decided to belligerently announce that it was a party foul to leave any alcohol out of the bottle, but you couldn't pour it back in the bottle because that wouldn't make any sense at the time. So since no one else was going to drink the rest of it, I went through and finished everyone else's solo cup of it.
Oh, my God.
That was about where I last remember the events unfolding before everyone had to fill me in on what happened.
I'm the hero that your alcohol needed.
Evidently, I took a can of whipped cream. I don't know why there was whipped cream. Nobody was eating any dessert or had whipped cream on their tits or anything. So it's not like it was being put to good use. But there was whipped cream out on the table. And apparently I took it, walked into someone's closet that was living there. And I took my shirt off, sprayed the whipped cream on my nipples. And then I emerged and I went, I am Batman. I am the world's greatest detective. Nothing really following up by it, but the one rule to being Batman is you're not supposed to tell people you're Batman. So I kind of fucked it over from the beginning. And instead of getting to fight and save the city, I instead went to my friend's bathtub and just blew chunks all over his tub.
You released the Kraken, all right.
I sure the fuck did. The Kraken brought out the vigilante in me, and then I brought the vigilante back out.
Man, I used to have this house.
Did you wake up in the house like covered in vomit and shit and like, hey, what happened? Why are my tits sticky?
Fortunately, I did have good projectile velocity, so it wasn't an issue to cover myself. But I did wake up confused with another girl in my bed who I had no interest in at the time. And she was like rubbing my back and filling me in on how everyone laughed at me and then left. So,
oh, that was nice of her.
That was. Did she clean up the whipped cream from your nipples?
No. Apparently, the whipped cream, I don't know what happened to it. Someone probably sucked it off my titty. I have to assume.
I mean, a good friend would. A good friend's not going to let you go to bed with whipped cream on your titty.
It's like the Kraken. It can't go to waste.
Right. And you can't put it back in the bottle.
Right. That's especially true for the whipped cream. So that's one of the stories I've got. I told you a little bit about another one. I spent a good chunk of the beginning of my podcast doing a lot of these dumb stories until I realized I was the only one telling dumb stories. So I stopped doing this.
Hey, man, dude, dumb stories are perfect anytime. Anytime I'm down for a dumb story.
That's like our entire podcast.
That's like my entire life.
I feel that.
But no, so I used to have this house and our garage was the party garage. But the rule was the first time you ever came over, you had to do shots of Kraken all night. That was the rule. If you didn't bring your own alcohol, the only thing you were touching of mine, and I had a couple bottles of Kraken on hand at all times, the only thing you were drinking from my house was Kraken.
I see. I've since then thought about trying Kraken again and seeing if it would bring the vigilante back out. But now that I'm 33, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to survive another night of Kraken.
No, one night is enough.
Yeah, you survived that. You can't go back, or you're asking for death at that point.
Right. Yeah, there's no callbacks on the Kraken.
I've had Kraken one time.
That's enough.
I don't drink like at all. Like if I've made a deal with a few of my friends because they're determined to get me to find. They are determined to find an alcohol, beer, or otherwise that I actually enjoy, and because I don't have a fucking taste for it, and it's genuinely like the taste of alcohol itself is not good. The fermentation part tastes like shit to me, and so we went to a buddy's engagement party. And they had fucking Kraken. And they're like, oh, Shorty, you gotta do it. Like, it's a pirate kind of thing. And I'm like, it's a fucking Kraken. It's a sea creature, gang. Like, it has nothing to do. Come on, Shorty, try it. I'm like, I really don't want to. Please, come on. We're all hammered. Why not join us? So I tried it. And I was like, this tastes like shit.
Yeah, it tastes like fucking
end of story.
ethanol. Like straight gasoline.
Closest to being a pirate I ever got was I used to have a skull and crossbones flag that said "Surrender the Booty" that hung above my college bed.
Where'd you go to college, sir?
The Art Institute of Pittsburgh.
Art Institute. You're an artiste?
Culinary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, culinary art. I'm here for it.
But I don't do it, obviously. I work in a factory, so I way diverge my path.
Well, no, you're like most college students. You went to college, got a degree, and never used it appropriately.
Yep. So now I just, spend money for paper.
So hold on. Do you cook at home? Like, do you still practice?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of the fancy cuts or anything, but I do most of the cooking at home. I enjoy cooking, but I found that I hate doing it commercially. Mm-hmm. I've tried a few restaurants and pizza shops, and I loathe working for people.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, that's all we got for today. So I have an assignment for you because I just spoke too soon. The assignment is when I say that's all we got for today, you say so in the meantime. All right? You think you can handle this?
It's a challenge. I think I could do it.
It is hard. It is hard, but I think we're shooting like 10 for 10 right now. Don't fuck up the batting average. Okay.
I
just mixed up analogies. It's okay. I like sports, but
that's a Malafor.
Whatever that is. Yeah, sure. I've seen Harry Potter. All right, so that's all we got for today.
So in the meantime.
In the betweens time.
Remember, great minds think alike, but idiots rarely disagree. Cue the music. We out.